What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T-Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today, we're going to talk about my current position on the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford saga that has been dragging on for several years, which kind of came to a head in late 2022 and is now bubbling back up in the spring of 2023. So before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We do appreciate your feedback, and thank you so much for your time. All right, so that being said, I don't know if many of you have noticed, but there's been a limited amount of videos on this channel regarding Terence Crawford and Errol Spence actually getting into the ring, because there's so much information and so many different moves that are happening behind the scenes. It's really hard to get a beat on what's true, get a beat on what's false information, what things are happening, and what the actual timeline is. You can probably put together a fairly loose timeline of events, but for the most part, because we don't know everything and both of these fighters are kind of secretive, you don't know what's going on. The only person who's really done a good bit of talking about the situation and giving details is Stephen Espinosa of Showtime. Other than that, you're not going to hear anything from Al Heyman. So that means you're not going to hear anything directly from Errol Spence. Terence Crawford often talks in riddles, and you have people that somewhat speak on his behalf, but we don't really have a lot of direct information from him. The most we got from Terence Crawford happened during his promotion for his fight with David Avenesian back in November and December of 2022. He kind of talked more about the negotiations and the things that he asked for from PBC and Errol Spence, but not much about his fight with David Avenesian. Once that fight was over, it was kind of radio silence. He stopped doing interviews for obvious reasons. He's a fighter. They typically only do interviews when they have something coming up, whether it be a fight or they're promoting one of their fighters, something you see with Errol Spence. That's really the only time that they talk. So when I sit back and I think about the situation, I'm going to give full disclosure here. I'm a boxing fan, been a boxing fan my entire life. Now, there's been some ebb and flow with it. There's been some times where I've been heavy into the news and keeping up with everything that's going on. And then sometimes I'll migrate back to football and not pay as close attention. And then I'll come back to boxing. Over the last, let's say, 3 years, I've been back really focused on a lot more things boxing related that happen behind the scenes. So there's a period of things that went on between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford as far as them kind of just migrating around each other, kind of revolving around each other like the planets to the sun and the moons around the planets or what have you. But I was fully aware of what was going on with Errol Spence, but not so much of what was going on with Terence Crawford, outside of the fact that he was undefeated, he was knocking dudes out and winning championships, and he was one of the premier fighters and high up the pound for pound list. As far as their back and forth, a lot of that stuff didn't hit my radar until, let's say, the last 2.5 years. That being said, we get to this point now, and I try to collect everything that I know and combine it with new information that I'm gaining via research. And it just seems like both fighters in some way, whether silently or vocally, agreed that fighting each other is going to mean more and be more lucrative if it's for all the belts. I feel like I could kick everybody else ass. You feel like you can kick everybody else ass. So let's go ahead and get these as many belts as we can. Let's get all of them, and then we're going to fight at the end. Errol Spence said it out loud. He cleaned up his side of the street, and now we're here. He beat Yordenis Ugas in April of 2022, and from there, we start to hear the rumblings that these guys are in negotiation. Is there going to be a fight? So from May until October, when it was announced that Terence Crawford would instead be fighting David Avenesian, we were all, boxing fans and casuals alike, were under the impression that this fight was going to happen late 2022, no later than early 2023. Unfortunately, neither of those dates was suffice for Terence Crawford, and there were some issues with the negotiations on the numbers, and there's some things about transparency, aka approval and veto power. But all of that to say, they couldn't work it out. So now we're here. Fast forward to April 2023, and we still don't have a fight signed. We've heard rumored dates. They were supposed to be fighting right now. Matter of fact, if everything that was said was true, they would have been getting in the ring before April. But now it looks like they're going to be actually getting in the ring in June, on June 17th or so. You're starting to see betting lines come up. You're starting to see it pop up on pay-per-view markers, on cable agencies. So the signs are pointing to somebody has said something about them actually fighting. The problem is neither of the fighters are saying this is going to happen. And in fact, Bud Crawford has actually been trolling fans a little bit by saying, hey, it's April Fools. And he's just kind of making fun, and he's not taking it serious. His sister has come out and basically scolded YouTubers, saying you guys are always in a hurry to be the first to release information. And you don't know what's going on. Let the fighters do what they do. And at this point, the smoke and the sizzle of the fight has calmed down so significantly. I'm gonna watch it. Obviously, Errol Spence is my favorite fighter, but I just don't have the same fire for watching it. It's kind of like y'all let the prime time pass. And while my co-host Q has said he thought the prime time was years ago because we almost didn't get the fight because Errol Spence almost died in a car accident, I don't think that. I think the fight needed to marinate, but I think last year was the prime time. Errol Spence did the most gangster thing you needed to hype the fight. He went in the ring, beat his opponent, and after the fight, he called him out by name and said it in the most disrespectful way you can without calling that man out of his name. And then all you had to do was fight after that. That was the peak of sizzle for this fight to happen, and we just didn't get it. So now I'm at the point where I want to see it, man, but I just don't believe it. I'm literally at the point where I got to see these dudes in the ring. I got to see one of them hit the other before I feel like the fight has happened. I don't care if they touch gloves before the bell rings. I don't care if they get announced, they do the ring walks, they do press conference. I need to see them actually, one person needs to hit the other for me to know that the fight is happening. And then, I'll kind of have an opinion from there. Now, obviously, leading up to the fight, we're going to do analysis and stuff like that. But I'm really hoping an announcement comes. I'm not holding my breath for an April 22nd announcement on the Tank Davis card because I don't think Bud is going to show up. If Errol is getting ready to fight him in June, I don't think he's going to be at the fight because he's complaining about weight issues. He's rehabbing off an injury from a car accident. I don't see him going to Tank's fight. So in my opinion, that doesn't seem like the ideal place to do the announcement anyway. But we'd love to get you guys' thoughts. This has been T-Word for the Mic Check Podcast. Until the next time, I am out. Peace.